The lantern on Maple Street every December. Maple Street put on a display that made the whole town of Hawthorne proud. Houses glowed with icy blues and warm yellows. Wreaths hung on doors, and the scent of cinnamon drifted from block to block. But the real heart of the street was Mrs. Evelyn Carter, the retired schoolteacher who had lived in the same little blue house for nearly 50 years at T82. She still baked cookies for the neighborhood, still remembered every child's birthday, and still set out the same little lantern on her porch each winter. It was old, rusted at the edges, but every year she polished it, lit it, and let it shine all night long. "It's for hope," she would tell anyone who asked. A reminder that someone is always looking out for someone else. But that December, something changed at a quiet house. It began with small things. Fewer lights in her windows, fewer trips to the grocery store, fewer waves from her rocking chair on the porch. The neighbors figured she was tired, maybe slowing down. But when the first snow came, and the little lantern didn't appear on her porch, people noticed. Across the street, 12-year-old Jonah Miller noticed too. Jonah wasn't the bold type, more of a quiet kid with thick glasses and a love for astronomy. He watched the stars every night from his bedroom window, and he liked Mrs. Carter because she always asked him what planets he'd spotted. But that night, staring out at Maple Street, Jonah couldn't shake the feeling that something wasn't right. The lantern had never missed a December at a small knock the next afternoon. Jonah gathered his courage, tugged on his puffy green jacket, and crossed the street. He climbed the 3 steps to Mrs. Carter's porch and knocked gently. No answered. He knocked again. Still nothing. Until finally he heard a faint shuffle and the door cracked open. "Jonah?" Mrs. Carter blinked at him. Behind her, the house was dim. "Sweetheart, what are you doing out in the cold?" I, I just wanted to check on you." His cheeks heated with embarrassment. "Your lantern didn't come out this year." She sighed softly. Yes. I've had a bit of trouble moving around lately. The doctor says I need to rest my knee. That old box of decorations is just too heavy this time." Jonah nodded, then blurted, "I can help." She chuckled. "That's kind of you, dear, but it's a lot of work." "I don't mind." There was a long moment where she simply looked at him, this shy kid with sincerity written all over his face. Then she opened the door wider. "In that case," she said, "I'd be honored." A lantern relit. Jonah found the dusty box in her closet and carried it out to the living room. Inside were ornaments from decades past, a crinkled paper star, photos of students, and, wrapped in a faded towel, the little lantern that he gently handed it to Mrs. Carter. "It needs a cleaning," she said with a smile. They spent an hour wiping it down, polishing it until the metal gleamed. Jonah set a fresh candle inside, and when they placed it on the porch, Mrs. Carter struck a match. For a moment, the street was quiet. Then the flame caught, glowing softly against the winter air. "Thank you, Jonah," she whispered. "I didn't want the tradition to end." He hesitated. "I can help again if you want, with the rest of the decorations." Her eyes shone. "I'd like that very much." A chain of kindness words spread quickly, because on Maple Street, kindness tended to travel fast. 2 days later, the Millers showed up with hot chocolate. The Hernandezes brought extra lights. Then Gwen's helped set up the tree in her living room. By the weekend, the entire block had pitched in to decorate her yard, and one evening, as neighbors stood together admiring the final touches, someone noticed something new. Dozens of lanterns had appeared on porches up and down the street. All shapes, all colors, each one shining brightly. "For Mrs. Carter," someone said, but she shook her head. No, she corrected softly. For each other. The brightest street in town that Christmas, Maple Street became famous across Hawthorne. People drove from all over the county to see the lights and lanterns. But the beauty wasn't in the decorations, it was in the spirit behind them. Jonah, standing beside Mrs. Carter, didn't fully understand the impact until she leaned down and said, "One small kindness can light up a whole street, Jonah. Don't ever forget that." And he didn't. Every December after that, no matter where he was or how much older he grew, Jonah returned to Maple Street to help light the lantern. And soon, the tradition passed from one generation to the next. An entire block reminded each year that sometimes the simplest gesture can mean everything.